Let's go to all the problems with the renewables rollout. I've spoken about the logistics, the engineering hurdles. In fact, we've had another one, offshore wind in Gippsland fall over. But I'm concerned, given your security background, with the influence of Beijing in a lot of these companies. We know one company in particular is chaired by a serving Communist Party official. This is a $200 million solar project in Brisbane, near Bendigo, beg your pardon, in Victoria. It's getting big money out of taxpayers. It's been awarded funding out of the Capacity Investment Scheme run by Chris Bowen. How concerned should we be here?
Look, we should be desperately concerned. This government is forgetting all of the lessons of, hard decisions taken by past governments, for example, to keep China out of the 5G IT rollout. And there's really two big reasons for concern. One is that we're making ourselves more and more dependent on a state which does not have Australia's best interests at heart. The Chinese have their own strategic objectives. The second reason is that we're seeing Chinese technology increasingly becoming the dominant factor at Australian critical infrastructure. So the grid, ports, airports, all manners of IT connectivity. This gives China the capacity to do damage to Australia's critical infrastructure during moments of international crisis. It's something that has the Americans worried, and the Europeans, and frankly any other country that's capable of looking after its critical infrastructure. And we're largely ignoring it, all for the sake of convenience, I suppose, and perhaps slightly cheaper contracts. Australia has got to wake up to this. Being more dependent on China is a bad thing, and having China deeply enmeshed and controlling Australian critical infrastructure, that's even worse, particularly because it gives China the capacity to turn things off or do damage during moments of international crises.
All right, we've got the AusMin talks coming up. We know they're held every year, alternates between Australia and the United States. It's Defence Minister, Foreign Minister and their counterparts, in this case, Miles Wong, Hegseth Rubio. Already there are strong messages out there from the Americans to say we must lift our defence spending. There was all those sort of fake announcements, money on the long finger, prior to the Prime Minister finally having that meeting with Donald Trump. I think that bought him a modicum of silence in the room, but there's nowhere to hide now. The Americans can see that the money's not real. The money's not in the immediate budget forward numbers. And of course, they're sending pretty tough messages, the Americans, to the Europeans on NATO. I don't think we're going to get away with this unscathed, nor should we, Peter, nor should we.
No, absolutely not. And, we really should be doing this because it's important for our own defence, not just to please the Americans. But I think that this is going to be a very tough meeting. I think the Americans will say, OK, well, we've now decided to provide you with our nuclear technology for submarines, but you Australians, you've got to be prepared to pay for it. Show us where these ships are going to be based. Show us how you're going to store the nuclear waste. Where are the naval crews going to come from? There's many, many areas where we are just failing to, with sufficient speed, gear up to be able to take on that nuclear technology. And so the Americans realise that we're dragging the chain. And I think when it comes to this meeting in DC, we're going to have some pretty hard messages read to us about the need to lift spending, and not at the end of the decade, Peter, but this year and over the next few years, and to do so quickly in the way that Taiwan is and a number of other countries. Our government has fought against that, but the time has now come. And I think there'll be it'll be a lot of tough love in DC when our ministers get together with their American counterparts.
Well, we'll see if it makes a difference. We'll leave it there. Thank you.